Hey, we're back. Hi, everybody. It's been a few days. I'm glad that you were here. We're going to do occasional daily distinctions. I miss doing this and want to be with you. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here for Daily Distinction. And I got some things going. And as I mentioned earlier, because the Distinctive Story program, because of family situation, is really working out much better. Got postponed to the end of January. I want to make sure that we talk about important things so that you are a part of that. So thank you for being here. As folks are signing on, I'm really glad that you are here. Don't forget that anytime you want to learn about more about distinction, all you need to do is to just say, Alexa, play Distinction Radio, and it's there for you. DistinctiveStory.com is where you need to go to learn more about that. Ted, Happy New Year. I hope you had a great beginning of 2021. It's so great to see you. Glad you are here today. Darcy, hello from beautiful Fishers, Indiana. I hope everything is great and you had a great new year. It was great to hear from you over the new year. Scott, great to see you as always. Glad you were here. Holy cow, Jason Bradshaw joining us from Sydney, Australia, where it is 7:01 a.m. tomorrow. Good to see you, Jason. Hope you're doing great. I'll drop you a note when we're done here. Hope everything is good with you. Hey, Brian. Well, I'm glad that you are here. Thanks for being here. Robert, as always, Happy New Year, and always great to have you here. So, Distinctive Story is the program we're doing the end of January that you're going to find out more about what it takes to construct a story. And I wanted to talk just for a few minutes this afternoon or this morning, if you're watching in Sydney, about story and about one of the primary challenges that most professionals have when it comes to the important aspect of story. There's no doubt that stories engage and connect. 20 some years ago, my first book was All Business is Show Business. And the reason that I wrote that then, and the reason I still believe it now, is because the power of story to engage and to connect makes a difference. Friends of mine, Joe Calloway, Larry Winget, we're talking about a television series on HBO called Succession. Tammy and I are binging the 2 seasons of Succession. It's amazing. It's an incredible. If you haven't watched it, it's just great. It's the story of a family, a wealthy family. It's kind of like the Rupert Murdoch family, and the dad is almost like he thinks he's never going to die, so he doesn't want to name a successor because he almost feels like that's giving up his power. And he plays the kids off of each other. It's Shakespearean almost in it, but. Tammy and I were talking about how here we are, we stayed up later than we should have last night watching this story about fictional characters. It's made up, but yet we care about what happens. Why? The story is so compelling. And the same thing can work for you, and the same thing can work for your business. Stories engage and stories connect. They're absolutely critical. Oh, Carlos, you saw it last year. It is a great show. By the way, I saw that HBO is they've given the green light to season 3, and they were getting ready to shoot season 3, and then they had to shut the production down with COVID. But there is going to be a season 3. Oh, you like that, Jason? It's an incredible story. It is so good. Yeah, Donovan, I can't stay away. It's too good. Why do you think people minimize their belief if they tell stories or not? I'm not, Brian. I want to make sure I understand your question. But I think what's happened is we have trained people to believe that business is all about balance sheets, not understanding the story is what gets us there in the first place. I respectfully wrote several years ago that you can get a medical degree and become a doctor and have never taken a course on bedside manner. Yet the malpractice insurance companies will tell you that the number one reason doctors get sued is because of lack of connection with their patient, not because of medical error. How do they connect? Well, they tell a story. They connect. And as Jason says here, stories are the greatest way to get people to connect with and follow you. If they know your story, they want to continue to connect with. Hey, I'm ready for Succession season 3. I'm not done with season 2 yet, but we're going to be ready for season 3 when Ozark comes out again on Netflix. We want to see how this ends, right? For Jason Bateman and Laura Linney. So the stories connect, yeah, and of how to build his legacy, right? I mean, Jerry, that's part of Succession as well. You know, he had no exit plan, or well. And isn't it interesting? That's part of what makes the story so great, that when you design your exit plan, it kind of means you exit. And here's a guy that doesn't want to exit. So he thinks that I knew a wealthy family like that the dad into his 90s continued to run the company simply because if he had an exit strategy, it meant to him he was going to exit. He never wanted to exit, and it tore up the company. So stories are so compelling. They engage and connect. Here's the issue. You got to know what a story is. And you've got to know how one is constructed to be effective. Here is a common mistake. I want to point out a common mistake. And I am not trying to, I don't even know these people, okay? Before we went on today, as I was preparing this program, I just did a simple Google search. And I went to the first link. I didn't go to a sponsored link because I didn't want anybody to have to pay, a click through for me to criticize them. So the first non-sponsored link that I came up with was this one. And I am sharing this with you. And I don't know who these people are. This came from a random Google search. This is something on the internet, but I want to give you an example of what we see. This is for a financial advisor group, and from the 913 area code, the 913 is Kansas. So this is for an investment financial advisors, Sunrise Advisors, okay? And if you look, this is a page on their website that says Our Story. Now, here's a clue. If you say to me, Our Story, what do I expect you to tell me? I expect you will tell me your story. So here is what they say. Sunrise Advisors is an independent fee-only registered investment advisory firm that provides continuous wealth management services to individuals, families, business owners, associations, foundations, and businesses. That's not your story. That's your resume. That's your resume. Your product or your service is not your story. We were established in 1993 on the principle that an advisor and investor should have the same ultimate purpose to protect and grow assets. By the way, how is that different than any other firm on the planet? Gee, you want to protect and grow my assets. My last financial advisor wanted me to lose and diminish my assets. That's not a story. That's a resume. It's a multi-generational family-owned firm with built-in continuity. Our unique structure, family-owned firms are hardly a unique structure. This isn't your story. It's your resume. It's your product or service. It's not a story unless it's a story. But yet, that was the first one that popped up, and it comes up over and over and over and over. I challenge you to do the same thing. Look up on websites, maybe even your own, where it says Our Story. Is it a story? Or is it your resume? Many families are wrecked by this. Yeah. And yeah, Samuel, hey, good to see you here, Samuel. I appreciate you being here. And Curtis from Lund, Nevada today as you're traveling. That's so good. Brian, is the best way to disrupt one's belief that they can tell stories by just doing it and not put pressure on themselves. You have to model the behavior that you want in others. In other words, you have to know how to tell the story. So the most frequently made mistake that I see in business story is that we think telling you about our resume or telling you about our product or our service is our story. That is not a story. If you want to learn how to create your story for your business, it's part of what we're doing on January 27th. It's the Distinctive Story program. If you'd like to learn more, I invite you to go to distinctivestory.com. You see the tab there. When you go to distinctivestory.com, it'll show you everything about the mechanics of crafting a story. It'll tell you about the time. It'll tell you about everything here that you're going to learn. And look at that checklist. You're going to learn what it's about, what every distinctive story is about, how you craft it like a Hollywood screenwriter, high concept, the proven formula. What do you do to fix it? I mean, what could these people do to fix that? That's part of what we'll talk about. How to connect your story to any audience at any time, how to make your story or product, how to make your story sell, even though I don't believe in story selling. The purpose of the story is to connect. The purpose of the story is not to sell. So all of that is available for you when we do our program on Distinctive Story. In the meantime, whether you're a part of our program or not, man, I'd love for you to be there on January 27th to learn about how you craft your distinctive story. In the meantime, what I'd like for you to do is to take a look at, do you have something on your website or LinkedIn or somewhere that you indicate is your story, but it's really your resume, or it's a list about your product or service? Because if that's what you have, then you're turning off people just like I'm turned off about this. If it says our story, I'm looking for a story. I'm not looking for your resume. I'm not looking for your mission statement. Mission statements are fine to have. What business shouldn't? But your mission statement is not your story. Your mission statement is not your story. Your KPIs is not your story. Brian, you're exactly right. It's a priceless skill and a way of doing business, right? It's a way that we do business. So what is your story? And by the way, everybody has a story. The question is, can you take your story and craft it in a way that is compelling for people to understand? Carlos, I share my story about not filing my taxes for 8 years. The IRS is coming after me for back taxes. I noticed once I started sharing my story, clients connected with me so much faster. And Carlos, you've hit on an important aspect of it here too. It's relatability, right? If I have this problem and go to my accountant and I feel like they're talking down to me, or they're, how in the world could you? Then all of a sudden there is a wall built up where I have trouble. But by sharing your story, you eliminate that wall, and now you connect with them because they go, oh my gosh, this guy gets it. He understands that for whatever reason, this was happening. So your story is part of what connects you with your clients and gets them to a point that, by the way, you know what else stories do? And Carlos's comment brings it up. Connection is the key to trust. How many people buy when they don't trust you? My guess is if they don't trust you, they're not buying from you. And so when stories create trust, stories create the connection that engenders trust. And when that trust is there, now we're more willing to buy, which is why you got to make sure that you don't think your resume is your story. And you don't think an explanation about your product or service is your story. You find the way that you create your stories, because stories engage and connect. That's why we're doing the program. Take a look at distinctivestory.com. I hope you sign up for it. I hope to see you there at the end of the month. And I hope you go to work on your story. I'll be popping back on with some more ideas about story. If you find some other sites that have similar things, put them on Facebook or Twitter, wherever you've got it. If you find some others, I can use as examples. We'll talk about this more. Brian, your question about Path to Distinction, we got a big announcement coming up. Yes, there is something coming up on that. So we're going to help you create your Path to Distinction. So that'll be coming up soon. Watch for that as well. Hey, everybody, it's always great to see you. Thank you for being here. And I will look forward to talking to you very soon on our next Daily Distinction. Thanks for watching.